feel so honored that everybody, when they heard the topic we presented, were like, oh, I'm doing artwork for that. It was just so awe-inspiring. Well, I'm here tonight I'm going to be introducing the singer in a few minutes. But I want to just say a couple of words. We had started this effort kind of as a fun idea and decided we needed to bring it to a bigger audience, and the Arts Council was just so excited about the idea, and we were able to work together, and so many people just pitched in, and we got this really set up in a couple of months, and I'm just so excited to continue to share with you about different heritages. And I'm going to pause a minute because I got thrown off a little bit. The reason that I thought it would be a good idea to take a different approach is I think sometimes we get caught up in our current everyday going on, what our reality is for the moment, and by coming outside of ourselves and maybe dabbling in a little bit of magical thinking and creativity, it gives us a chance to have a new perspective. And doing something like this gives us all another perspective. And so at this time, I will relog into my phone to tell you. I'm so glad I brought this up here with me. Alessandra Belloni is the artistic director and founder and lead performer of I Gagliardi di Piazza, an Italian music and theater and dance ensemble, who is an artist in residence at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine in New York City. She's also the designer of a line of signature series Italian tamarines made by Remo. She is the only woman in the U.S. and Italy who specializes in traditional Southern Italian folk dances and percussion combined with singing that she learned in Southern Italy. She is an award-winning tambourine virtuosa, singer, dancer, and actress who was born in Rome, Italy, and is committed to preserving the strong and rich traditions of her culture. And so, without further I will introduce Alessandra Belloni.
So I'm very happy to be here. It's my first time performing in South Carolina, and I already fell in love with the magic of the land and the area. It's very beautiful, and I can feel the people here are very authentic, like the south of Italy. So I also go with the energy a lot. So I'm really honored, and tonight I'll take you on a journey with me, which follows my book. My new book is called Healing Journeys with the Black Madonna. And it's published by Inner Traditions Bear & Company, presented by a very famous author, Matthew Fox, who's also a reverend. So my journey is a life journey. Anyone who starts this path with the Black Madonna does know that you begin mostly by coincidence, but it's not a coincidence. And then she just takes you, if you surrender to her love, and unconditional love, then she will guide you and take you to many places and many adventures. So the book describes my personal story, and tonight I will share some of that with you with the music Because the beauty of the culture of southern Italy is that we honor her through chanting, drumming, dancing, all the prayers are sung, so it's not just a devotion where you go in a church and light a candle and leave. It's all musical and it's healing. So this concert, this presentation and the book is dedicated to my mother, who is no longer in this physical presence, but she's around, Mamma Elvira, because she was the one who taught me the devotion to the Madonna. She was healed by the Madonna during the bombing of Rome in World War II, and I grew up with the story, and as if I had lived it. So I always was taught by her to pray to the Madonna, and she had a difficult life because of being married to a typical Italian man. So we did, our quest was also to escape a tough patriarchal society in Italy. Not so simple. So the Madonna guided her and then guided me. So this is presentation, and the book is dedicated to all mothers, the unconditional love of the mother. So one of the chants that I learned is to the mother from Naples. It's called Canto a Figliola, a chant in honor of the woman. Mamma, regalina mia, miete ciamane toia, figlio, figlio, vene cammo tu sana, ucanarona, figlio, figlio, chi struzza chiama festa, si non tacca tu sciura, figlio, amaronna, come sa sceglie, a giornatella soia, figlio, mamma, regalino meglio, miete ciamane toia, figlio. Oops. Nice effect though. So all that said, as I began this journey, we traveled all over, from Naples, Campania, south to Calabria, Puglia, Sicily. Everywhere I went to these beautiful towns, in the churches I would find a black Madonna. Either a big statue or a painting, but very black, very dark, and they spoke to me in silence, but they did speak to me, and I was so drawn to them because I grew up in Rome. I didn't know there were many black Madonnas around the world. I know now there are black Madonnas in Rome, but I wasn't aware of that. So I would go there and stare at them and feel their power coming from their eyes. A lot of compassion, unconditional love, at times austerity, and also a sweetness, and sometimes I would see their face change or cry or smile. So that was an enigma, it was a mystery to me, and I kept asking the priests, ma perché la Madonna è nera? Why is the Madonna black? And they would never tell the truth. They would always say either è nera perché è nera, which means she's black because she's black, or it's the candle smoke. So that really got me, and I knew they were not telling the truth. So within my quest of discovering who was the Black Madonna, I had an idea that someday I was going to write about her, but I didn't know how and why, but I was just called to do it. Until one day I was diagnosed with a very kind of a serious cancerous condition called dysplasia, and I had a vision of the Black Madonna when I woke up from the surgery in New York, and I saw this beautiful statue staring at me with her hands out and sending me healing energy and speaking to me, saying that I had to follow her path and that I was going to feel other people's pain and the pain of the earth. So that as I continued the journey, then it occurred to me what she really represented, which I will explain more. But what was really clear, as I saw the people carrying the statues, making vows, crying, screaming, weeping, and chanting to her and drumming, it was clear through the years that she represented the Earth Mother and the African Mother, where we come from. So there was a long journey again, that it still continues, but it started from a region called Calabria, a very powerful region, where people do a very powerful African ritual to honor the Black Madonna. And this is one of the chants that I learned in honor of la Madonna dei Poveri, Our Lady of the Poor. Lunga via, per saluta Maria, vignuta sogna per sta razia per carità, e non mi muovo di ca, si sta razia non ma fa. Facitilo Maria e facila piccarità. Vignuti lunga via, vi saluta Maria, vignuta sogna ca, per sta razia e carità, e non mi muovo di ca, si sta razia non ma va. Facitilo Maria, facila piccarità. Vignuti lunga via, vi saluta Maria, vignuta su pietà, questa razia e carità, e non mi muovo di ca, questa razia non ma va, facitilo Maria e facila di carità. Vignuti lunga via, vi saluta Maria, vignuta su pietà, questa razia e carità, e non mi muovo di ca, questa razia non ma va, facitilo Maria, facila di carità. You see, the drumming sounds quite African, because it is. As in Italy, in southern Italy, everyone knows that, but you know, the south of Italy is much closer to North Africa than Europe, so all these traditions are really mixed, and they're still very popular and alive. So from Calabria, I learned many things as I traveled, and I could really understand a connection to the African Mother, but also to the pre-Christian devotion to the different goddesses, the goddess of the earth, and many different variations. One of the most popular that was worshipped in pre-Christian time is the goddess Cybele from the region of Campania, but originated in Anatolia, Turkey. And there is a beautiful myth of creation also that is part of the legend of the Black Madonna, that says that the black meteorite fell from the stars in Anatolia, and then it was carved into the statue of the Mother Earth goddess Cybele. And that statue was then brought to Rome under the prophecy of the Sibyl, the Sibylla Cumana, the prophetess of the underworld. And she said if this statue was worshipped in Rome, the Romans would win the war against Hannibal, and so it was. And that temple to Cybele in Rome right now is a Catholic church of the Black Madonna from Araceli in the center of Rome. So again, Rome is full of Black Madonnas. They're a little more hidden because that's been part of the Vatican story as well. No offense to anyone, please. But that's the truth. So as in this journey from Calabria, I met a great player of the drumming in honor of the Black Madonna from Naples. So I traveled a lot in the region of Campania, Naples, because there is one of the most important Black Madonnas in a sacred mountain, Monte Vergine, in the province of Avellino. I'm not sure there are Italians in the audience, but if you're from the south, you may have heard some of these places. So in this area, I learned, and from a very important book that I describe a lot in my book, it's called Il Segno di Virgilio, the sign of Virgil. I learned that the poet, the Roman poet Virgil, was not just an incredible poet, but he was also a mago poeta, a healer, shaman, and he had healing power. So he had sacred places where he went and wrote his poetry. One was the cave of the Sibyl near Naples. One was the sacred mountain called Monte Vergine, the Virgin Mountain. And there, in the temple of Cybele that existed, He had a garden of healing herbs and he cured the sick. And he was very, very powerful, initiated in the mysteries of the goddess. We also know that Virgil was probably gay, and there was a tradition that is still popular today that men that became women and became priestesses honored the goddess Cybele, and they were called Galli. And that still exists today in Naples. So the Neapolitans still believe in the power of Virgil, and they identify him as a sun god. So this chant comes from Campania, it's called Yesce Sole. It's done to invoke the healing energy of the sun, but also to invoke the power of Virgil. Scaldiente imperatore, scaldiente mio d'argento, cabale 400, 150, tutta la notte canta, canta, viola, lui mastro di scuola, mastro, mamma mena lanza, cacciaire in Francia, dalla Francia alla Lombardia, dove sembra la Lucia, non piove, cacciaire a muovere, Lugano, da mastro Giuliano, non piove, riesce, solo. Naples was known as Partenope in the ancient times. All of the south of Italy was called Magna Grecia, was part of ancient Greece. So all the myths and legends are the same as in ancient Greece, but then some of the names variate. The interesting thing is though Christianity actually took away all these pagan rituals that are very spiritual, they're wild but spiritual from Greece, the Orthodox Church especially, but in the south of Italy we never lost them. So we're really proud of that, and a lot of people who study ethnomusicology, anthropology, are really in love with this small region of the world, the south of Italy, because of the cultures that mixed and gave birth to all these traditions, music, and wild dances. So the one that I love very much, especially dedicated to the Black Madonna of Montevergine. So this Virgin Mountain, where Virgil was initiated in the mysteries of Cybele, became a very important sanctuary in the Middle Ages. A lot of Black Madonnas became very popular in the Middle Ages, all over Europe, in France, Spain, Portugal, all over, and also in Italy. So the monks, the Basilian monks, built a sanctuary where this temple existed in the 1100s, and since then this has been a devotion, and people go up the mountain to venerate her, following a legend that says there are 7 Madonnas, there are 7 sisters, but the last one was believed to be the ugliest. So she ran away to hide on a high mountain, so the people that wanted to find her had to search really hard to find her. But when they found her, they saw she was the most beautiful of all. She was black, and they called her Mamma Schiavona, the serving mother. And she made many miracles, she still does, the devotion is huge. The devotion is to go up the mountain, all from May to September, chanting, the chant that I'm going to do now. And usually it's the women that lead the chants, barefoot, going up 1,500 meters, it's a very high mountain. And when they get to the church, they go on their knees and do the devotion, sometimes, cry because they feel the spirit of the Dark Mother, of the Madonna. And when they come out, they do the party, the feast, la tammorriata, which is the dance that we did yesterday. So this dance and music is very erotic, it's very sensual, goes back to the fertility rites of the goddess Cybele and also Dionysus, our favorite god, the god of wine and ecstasy. So it's all mixed with a Christian devotion, and that's the beauty of the Black Madonna. She's a pre-Christian devotion, she's the African mother, but also Christian. So this chant that I learned from the old ladies, it's very powerful. Like the other chant, it uses the Neapolitan scale, the Lydian mode, and it was believed already in pre-Christian times that it had the power to calm the mind. And the drumming that follows is called tammorriata. It's a beautiful dance done with castanets, and usually these rituals go on from 10 o'clock at night up to sunrise. E sanim su cagnone e amma truva mamma schiavona e amma truva mamma schiavona e bello occhio c'era Madonna e la pare ne doi stella ma pare ne doi stelle illuminate mamma mia ben coronata mamma mia ben coronata e con tutta sta compagnia state buone Madonna mia state buone Madonna mia state buone Madonna mia e l'anno cabere turnamma bene e l'anno cabere turnamma bene si mi chiude, si mi bevuto quante grazie da chi m'ha avuto quante grazie da chi m'ha avuto. Che bello nome mamma, che yes?
Yes.
But that is actually an interesting thing because it is a workout, and this is what I learned as I went through these processions and these festivals that go on from 10 o'clock at night straight through sunrise. The drummers keep drumming, so that I dedicated pretty much 3 chapters. My first 3 chapters of the book speak about this tradition and how I was amazed coming from Rome to see that for devotion you play all night, you sing all night, you dance all night. And that's where I received miracles, once for my brother, and then it happened also for my ex-husband, who had a lot of problems, especially of addiction. So the dance and the spiritual energy that comes out in the ceremonies, which is popular in other cultures, Brazil, Africa, Cuba, and other places in the world, is really what evokes the spirit and to bring in the mother, the goddess, to receive the miracle. And usually that happens in a trance state of mind. So hours and hours of drumming create trance. And the reason to do that is to receive the grace and connect to the divine feminine. So I learned this through many years. Every time I go, I learn a new dance, a new step. And this Black Madonna, especially from Montevergine, is very special. It's a huge painting. The incredible thing about her is that her eyes follow you everywhere in this huge church. And whoever did the painting, no one knows, had an incredible skill and connected to her. I lead people to these places every summer in a pilgrimage, and I see people weep and cry in front of her all the time. Something really happens there. And she's very benevolent, and she looks at us saying, I'm here for you, just ask. That's really what most people receive from this Black Madonna. And the painting is a Byzantine style, very beautiful. And the interesting thing also about one of the aspects of the Black Madonna, the Christian devotion, is that she is also Mary, the Mother of Christ. And she was dark, she was black, she couldn't have been blonde and blue eyes like they taught us after the Middle Ages. It became, the painters, the beautiful paintings they did in Italy, but that's not the truth. So in the first 400 years, up to the first 700 years AD, the painters always made them dark. Dark Madonna, dark Jesus, and these icons are all over, the Mediterranean and North Africa. So they say that Saint Luke was the first one to paint Mary and Jesus, and he remembered what she looked like, and he painted her dark. So, she was a black North African woman. So most writers that write about this will tell you that Saint Luke was the first one, and then people follow. So a lot of our paintings from the south of Italy that I describe in the book, besides the statues, are from that time. They date back to the year 300 AD to the 700 AD. And again, they're very beautiful, they're very mystical, very magical, and so are the statues. So as I continued this research, after having this vision of the Black Madonna in 1986, and I decided to write the opera, The Voyage of the Black Madonna, and I ended up searching for her the 7 sisters, and reconnected with this love of my life, who I speak a lot about in the book, my ex-husband. And I took him with me because I thought he was such a good soul that he could come out of addiction, because the Black Madonna is also known to do that. The darkness attracts people that live a little bit in the shadow, and they want to be healed by her, and she shows her unconditional love. So one of these times that we were lost, we ended up in a town not far from Montevergine, in a place that's known actually for the witches. That's a whole other story. It's in the book though. And near Benevento, the famous Streghe di Benevento. And we ended up in a church thinking we were lost, but we were not lost. Libera, Regina dell'anima mia, Regina dell'anima mia, e quanto è bella chiamare Maria. Let's try again. Madonna della libera, Regina dell'anima mia, Regina dell'anima mia, e quanto è bella bella chiamare Maria. One more time, yeah? Madonna della libera, regina dell'anima mia, regina dell'anima mia, quant'è bella chiamare Maria. E viva Maria, Maria, e viva Maria, Maria, e viva Ave, Ave, Ave Maria, Ave, Ave, Ave Maria, evviva Maria, Maria, evviva, evviva Maria, Maria, evviva. I know there is a singer here. I should have taught you some of the songs. Next time we can do some duets. So these are really like mantras. These chants that go on for hours and hours. You can use them at any time to really bring good energy and send away negativity. In the book, each chapter is a different, like Madonna, a lot of history, a lot of stories, but at the end there is a link to the CD, but there's also there are also the lyrics and the music, so you can actually learn these prayers and practice. And the area that I was describing, where this beautiful Black Madonna is, in my research I found that it was an incredible settlement, very important settlement of the ancient Egyptians. So a lot of people are not aware, but the Egyptians really were part of the Neapolitan region. There is a temple of Isis in Pompeii that you can visit today. This area, Benevento, had a very important worship of the goddess Isis, a black goddess, also that you see many times nurturing Horus. So that's the first representation of the Madonna and Child. And in this area, the initiation was very strong. So we know they had an esoteric school, the Egyptians. Isis was the goddess of magic. And this tradition survived in this area. So that's why there is a lot of magic still practiced in there, as well as the worship of the Black Madonna, connected to Isis, which is really, for me, it's the most important of all the other goddesses. Another one that is important is the goddess of the moon, Diana, also a black goddess presented with many breasts, Artemis of Ephesus. So from learning all this history and wanted to represent this on stage, which was not that easy, I kept traveling and I kept learning new things, and of course always went back to a region that I love very much still today, Calabria. Anyone Calabrese in the audience by any chance? Because I usually meet Calabrese everywhere I went. No? Okay, first time. It's a very powerful region and it's very beautiful in nature. So another important thing is that these churches of the Black Madonnas today are built over temples of Isis, Cybele, goddess Diana, and also Hecate, the goddess of the underworld, and Aphrodite. And they're in nature, so they're in sacred mountains, by the sea, by lakes and rivers. They often appear on a tree or in a cave. So that power of the earth is very strong in these places, and I always felt that part of that, the miracles that happen, is the vibration that you actually feel from the earth if you sit on the stones, like the rock where the Black Madonna of Monte Vergine is. There's a rock where you sit and meditate and it vibrates. So part of the healing comes from the earth. And so my book and also the opera I wrote was dedicated to that, to the Earth Mother as a living being, and how the ancient people respected her as such, and how our planet is in danger. And that's also connected to women. The Black Madonna represents the dark side of the moon, represents the womb of the earth, the womb of women, and in many ways, unfortunately, the womb of the earth has been disrespected and broken, same for women. So the healing that comes from the Black Madonna is very female, very feminine, connected to the earth, and what women also need very much today. In these places, if you come with me or go on your own, you'll understand that there's something that really speaks strongly of how important it is to worship the earth as a living being. In Calabria, they do an incredible feast still today called for la Madonna dei Poveri, Our Lady of the Poor, in a town called Seminara. In Latin, seminare, semens means to plant seeds, so directly connected to the earth. And this statue has a very interesting legend. They say that in the year 951, the poor people, the peasants who were working in the fields, they saw a striking light come to the earth and a fire, and they were shocked and they wanted to know what that was. And as they went there, and the light kept appearing from under the earth, they decided to dig, and then they found this beautiful statue, which was intact from centuries before, this beautiful, very mysterious Black Madonna, and they called the authorities to see what they should do, and the priests came and all the authorities, and when they tried to lift the statue, she became very heavy, and they couldn't lift her. But when the poor people tried to lift her, she became light. So she's their protector, and she's called La Madonna dei Poveri, Our Lady of the Poor, who has made many miracles through the centuries, and still now worshipped with an incredible feast on August 14th. Isn't your birthday August 15th? 15th, you're gonna come to Calabria because the feast goes on today. That's a feast for sure. So in this feast, when I first went, I was shocked because I really thought I was in Africa, and I was thinking, this is not Italy. So you hear these drum rolls, the 6/8 of the snare drums, and a lot of them, and then you see the procession of giant puppets. This is happening still today, this is not something of the past, where there's a beautiful giant puppet of a black king called Grifone, who falls in love with the Italian white queen, and in this beautiful dance, the puppets embrace and kiss, bringing together our cultures. It's really powerful, really beautiful to see that reenacted every year. And there is a dancer that comes, it's not really a dancer, he's a devotee, who carries a huge flag between his legs, which is very phallic, and he's dancing with this flag in a very phallic way, the tarantella calabrese. And it's really heavy. I mean, that's a sacrifice because he does it for like 8 hours. And it has a, it looks like a sky, but it's really phallic. So when he comes to the end of the procession, he goes towards the Madonna, as is really a fertility rite. The statue of the Madonna is spectacular, it's mysterious, you can't see her eyes, but she looks at you. Super heavy, and the people who carry her are men that are devoted, and they carry her for hours and hours, and just to watch all these men do this procession is really amazing, heartbreaking, because you see them cry, and you can tell some of them are rough guys, because this is an area also known for mafia. So I speak about that in the book. Even at that moment, everyone is together and worship the mother. It's a whole other subject, but it's interesting to watch, let me tell you that much. So in this place I learned a lot. I learned the dance, I learned the rhythm, and I learned that this Madonna has a connection, one of the sisters, to Spain, a Madonna, the Black Madonna of Montserrat, near Barcelona. And these are other sisters that were very popular in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. And they were honored with music, trance dance, and drumming, especially in the Middle Ages, the time where people lived with fear of death by the plague, fear of the end of the war, the Crusades, and a very unstable time, and the plague was decimating Europe. And I felt a lot that we're living in a very similar time today. Fear of contagious disease, war, and crusades is still happening. And so I always feel that's part of my mission as an artist, to bring this up to the audience or put it on stage. And we reenact this with my theater company because I feel that in those times they knew how to expel evil or do exorcism by doing these dances. So the music, the drumming, in those times was a musical exorcism, and they span around in circles, and they did this as devotion, bringing the statue of the Madonna to stop the plague coming to town, and it actually really happened. A lot of these towns were spared from the plague. So I'm going to do a chant that's called Cunctisimus Concanentes, in Latin, it's medieval. Comes from Montserrat, Spain. So it's a 6/8 tarantella rhythm, very popular also in Africa, with a prayer. It's a Hail Mary. So if you are inspired when I sing Ave Maria, you can sing with me. Dance that we do with our group, also in my workshops. And so, as my journey continued, not only in Italy, I travel around the world, thank God, with my profession as a musician, percussionist. I've been taken to many places, thanks to these tambourines that I designed with Remo. I started teaching around the world, and then everywhere I went, if you look, you will find the Black Madonna. And so one thing, maybe people are not aware, but every Catholic country has a patron Madonna, and it's a black Madonna, always, it's not a white Madonna. So in Italy, is La Madonna di Loreto, Our Lady of Loreto, and many people may know France. There's many black Madonnas in France. The patron is Chartres, the Black Madonna of Chartres, in Spain, Montserrat, in Switzerland, Einsiedeln, And so the same in Germany, I can't pronounce it, but it's very important, Madonna there, and Ireland, England, and Russia, the Orthodox, of course, and very important is the one in Poland, Częstochowa, and also South America. So in Brazil is very important, a Nossa Senhora Aparecida. In France, there are many Black Madonnas, and I was very fortunate to actually go to a place called Saint-Marie de la Mer in the south of France, in La Camargue, where I found this beautiful place that is very well known right now because Bob Dylan went there, because her feast is May 24th, which is Bob Dylan's birthday. And he made her very famous, but it's a devotion that goes on for centuries, done by the Gypsies. The name of the Madonna is Santa Sara la Kali. So it's very interesting because she's connected to India, and the Gypsies are believed to have come from India. And she's also a huge, beautiful black statue in a crypt under the church by the sea. And she is called the Queen of the Gypsies. So the Gypsies from all over come every year to pay homage, to worship her with music and dance. When I went there, I had a very strong experience because I also found out that it's one of the places. They say that that's where Mary Magdalene arrived on a boat. So it's Mary Magdalene and the other two Marys, so they call it Saint-Marie de la Mer. And I wrote a song for her, for Santa Sara la Kali, and for the Mary Magdalene. The place really moved me very much. And I suggest you should check it there, because it's really special, especially if you like the gypsy culture and the power of seeing the statue also taken in procession in the sea. It's very special. Vous êtes un vieux genois, on chante pour toi. Vous êtes un vieux genois, on chante pour toi. Sainte-Marie de la Mer, reine de Gitane. Sainte-Marie de la Mer, vous êtes la Magdalene. Sainte-Marie de la Mer, vous êtes la Magdalene. Santa Sara la Kali, you are the Black Madonna. Santa Sara la Kali, you are the Black Madonna. Mother of the waters, we come to you for blessings. Mother of the waters, protect us from disease. You are the Black Madonna, we will sing for you. You are the Black Madonna, we will dance for you. From North Africa to Italy, you have come to France. On white horses and with a new shine over the sea. Santa Sara la Kali, you are the Black Madonna. Santa Sara la Kali, you are the Black Madonna. Mother of the waters, we come to you for blessing. Mother of the waters, protect us from disease. You are the Black Madonna, we will sing for you. You are the Black Madonna, we will dance for you. Santa Sara la Kali, you are the goddess Isis. Santa Sara la Kali, you are Aphrodite. Santa Sara la Kali, you are the Mary Magdalene. Santa Sara la Kali, you are the Mary Magdalene. The sea is a very important part of the work I have done in research, healing, that aspect of my workshop, and a very important part of also my book. In many traditions in Italy, all summer long, there are beautiful towns over the sea where we have these feasts where they process, just like in France, carrying the statues into the ocean, into the sea, the Mediterranean, and blessing the coast. And it's going back to the ancient rites of the goddess of love, Aphrodite.
And one very spectacular place by the sea where there is a very important Black Madonna is in Sicily. It's called La Madonna del Tindari. Has anybody ever heard of that? Because she's very kind of known across the ocean. And it's a very spectacular place. When I take people there, everyone is really completely overwhelmed by the beauty, again, of nature. The legend says that this Madonna arrived, like many others, from the sea during a tempest. And probably, some say from Ethiopia, some say from Egypt. And the tempest was strong, but when the Madonna wanted to arrive in this particular location, the sea became calm and none of the people on the ship were hurt. And when they landed, they realized their power, and they first put her in the cave and then carried her up the mountain, where she's still worshipped today. And she's a very strong looking Madonna. She's very different. She looks really like an African totem, and she's standing up high in the sanctuary, and the inscription under the statue says Nigra sum sed formosa, which is also found in Montevergine and a couple of other places, but this one is much bigger, which means I am black and beautiful. From the Song of Solomon, also translated I am black but comely. So in the Song of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba in the Bible, it's very beautiful if you read the canticle, and it's all about love and it's very sensual. That is also connected directly to the Black Madonna, especially this one. So, the devotion is to go to her many times. Walking on September 7th is her feast. People walk hundreds of kilometers to go there. But what's really special for me in this place is that there is at the bottom of the mountain, where the Madonna landed, in the legend, there are these salt water lakes, and they're so beautiful, and they're really enchanted. For me, the first thing I did when I first went there in 1987 was to bathe in these lakes, thinking this is where the Madonna arrived. So that water is really healing, and I know that now because I bring people with me. And these lakes are very special because they change shape all the time. So when you look above, back in the mountain where the church is, and you look down, you can see always the shape of a woman. So this sand formation always looks like a profile of a woman praying, or sometimes a pregnant woman. So when you see this, that Mother Nature gives us these signs, then again, you just have to accept it. We're really powerless in front of her, and it's so natural to pray to her and ask for healing. So if you don't mind to sing with me one more time, I would like to do a chant that the fishermen do in Sicily, because they're in all indigenous cultures, people live in harmony with Mother Earth, with nature, with the sea. They sing to the fish, they sing to the trees. That's another thing I learned, that people sing to different trees in some places. But they have a chant for the tuna. So in Sicily, it's called Canto alla Tonnara. And they ask for the protection of the Madonna, of Mary, before they go into the ocean. And they chant this chant that you really should do with me. It's called Leva Leva, which means pick up the fishnets. So your part to sing is E leva, leva, le. You want to try it? E leva, leva, le. So that means pick up the fishnet. So I'll go Heya Monini Maria, and then you say leva, leva, le. Leva, leva, le. Heya Monini Betty, Betty. Leva, leva, le. Then I'll go a little faster, so I'll go Hey Monini Maria, leva, leva, le. You wanna try? Leva, leva, le. Bellissimo. Hey Monini Maria, leva, leva, le. Hey Monini Betty, Betty. Leva, leva. Leva, leva. Hey Monini mezzo mari. Pescari, Zumari. Leva, leva. Leva, leva. Great audience, great singers, you should dance. So that groove that I just played is not Italian, it's Brazilian. Right? I spent a lot of time in Brazil, I was actually talking about that before. It's an amazing place and it changed my life completely, turned it around. And that's where I really saw the connection between southern Italy and the Brazilian culture of Yoruba. And the different orishas. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a very ancient religion from Nigeria, Benin, that traveled to this country and it's very popular, and then it traveled to the South of America. So there I learned a lot of things about the way they honor, especially the goddess of the sea and the water, Yemansha, which is this one. And it's so similar to the way we do that in Calabria and in other places. Really, really similar. And the same thing is this African culture that came to Brazil, especially Bahia, on February 2nd. They all go on the beach to honor Yemanja. And they are dressed in white and blue. And they do these beautiful ceremonies with drumming. And she really represents the beginning of life, the primordial waters. And it's really an amazing experience. For me, my first place was Bahia back in 1998, and I was never the same again. I started learning the music and traveling there, and I was very thankful that I learned the songs, and I also went to their Black Madonna, Nossa Senhora Aparecida, and really understood where the African mother is so important. In Brazil, it's right in front of your eyes, and in Italy, in some places too, and it's so important today. That's also what motivated me to write the book. It's for the Earth Mother, for the Divine Feminine, for women, and to honor the cradle of humanity that began in Africa. So I'm going to do a little chant to Yemanja that I learned in Bahia, and anybody's inspired to dance it? No? Yes? Has anybody ever been to Bahia, to these places where they honor Yemanja? Or somebody has. And you know I'm not lying, right? That's very powerful. And it's really important to see that, you know, drumming and the community, they bring the spirits down, but they do it for healing. So, and again, like in the old times in Italy, the miracles happen, the shamanism that's practiced in these places is real. They do this for transformation and to send away negativity and just bring love. last piece, which is going to be a tarantella. I come from a very unusual family from Rome, and that's the beginning of my book. With a father that didn't look the typical Italian. I believe he was part African, he had an afro, he was very dark, and he baptized me in the river of Rome, the Tiber. So I don't know why, of 3 children, I was the one dipped into the water of the Tiber with the little rowing boat, him and my mother. So he always said that I was the daughter of the river, and I have a very strong connection to the river, of course. And then many years later, living in New York and being a musician, I learned what that means, that there is an African Yoruba tradition from Benin, Nigeria, and the mother of the river, the very important Orisha, is Oshun. So I discovered that I am a daughter of Oshun. And that means many things. She's also connected to the Black Madonna. So in Brazil, when I went to this place near São Paulo, it was amazing to see that, because there it's right there. So there's a Black Madonna church, a Nossa Senhora Aparecida, and then the river where they found her, but originally probably that was the place where the people who came from Africa worshipped Oshun. So they are interconnected, and in Brazil, they do the same thing we do in Italy. They drum in front of the Church of the Black Madonna. So if you are into that path, it's a very spiritual path. The Orishas are very strong. I believe that we have a mother and father that is from nature, blessing us and protecting us. And so I've been around this many, many times, and I feel drawn to that, because I really believe that these ancestors, you know, they really knew what they were doing back in Africa, connecting to the primordial power of the earth, the nature, through drumming and dance and special prayers. So this work I've been doing in the world, connected to healing through drumming, brought me to do many healing workshops, which I call Rhythm is the Cure. And I've learned that the tarantella dance is one that can really transform and take care of many disorders, especially neurological, or for women who have been abused, that suffer from depression due to trauma. So that's been my experience. I first healed myself with this dance from irregular bleeding after my surgery, and after I did that, I realized this dance really works. So the tarantella, known as pizzica tarantata, which means bite of the tarantula, actually was used for centuries to heal mainly women who suffer from depression called tarantismo, sometimes men. It goes back to the ancient Greek rites of Dionysus and the women, bacchantes, initiated in these rites, who use music and trance dance in their ecstatic ritual. And in Italy, this tradition didn't die with Christianity, it just turned around. They never stopped the people from dancing. The women, they are called bacchante and others called tarantate, and instead of Dionysus, they received the grace from Saint Paul. But it's the same thing. They danced for centuries, dressed in white with different colors, also similar to the Yoruba tradition, and calling the spirit through the tambourine, which plays the obsessive 6/8 to heal the person. So the musicians would gather in this tradition around the person afflicted by the bite of the spider, which was a metaphor, and they danced 3 days, 3 nights, and then they had a vision of Saint Paul, and they were cured. And every year in the summer solstice, they would repeat the ritual, so they would get rid of their depression. So the tarantella is one of the most powerful forms of music and dance therapy that exists still today, and that's been my mission for my last 25 years, to bring this to the other people who can benefit from the dance. So I'm going to close tonight with the authentic one called Pizzica Tarantata. And it's also part of the conclusion of my book, when I tell the stories of women I've helped and some men, and how important it is to acknowledge that you can get rid of depression and other disorders, not just with taking pills, but using music and drumming. I really believe that rhythm is the cure. And so thank you to Jill again for bringing me here, and all these beautiful people that I met. And thank you, Madonna and Andre, for the sound. You guys are great. Hope to do more. So if I could come back, we should do the tarantella workshop and see how people can benefit from this. And I'll be here for a while if you want to ask me questions, and my book is there, and I'll be very happy to sign them for you. And any questions you have on Black Madonna, I'll be really happy to answer. So saying goodbye with the good energy of the Tarantella.
Grazie, beautiful audience. I hope to come back to this beautiful place. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Andre. Stay in touch. Wow. I will be right there for you. If you want to speak to me, I will come out and you get the book or speak to me and sign my list so you can come with me to Italy. The pilgrimage to the Black Madonna is August 4th through the 16th. Then my first workshop is in Hawaii, February 1st to the 8th, and then in Italy in August, the 17th to the 24th. So, but I'll come there and hopefully we'll see each other in Italy. Why not, right?